before we get to today's great episode, wanted to let you know of a new exciting thing going on for the Lounge. For the first time since we started this podcast, the Lounge has entered into a partnership with a company that is aligned in how we think. Completely stop gambling. So Betttr is giving away 200 free subscriptions for life to the first 200 users from this podcast. Download Betttr, find the link in the show notes, or searching Betttr in your app store. So it's Bettr, Bettr, quit gambling. Search for that on the App Store or click into the link in the podcast show notes. So I'll see you on Betttr. And now to today's episode. Welcome into the Gambling Recovery Lounge. My name is Eric, and I'm a compulsive gambler in recovery. Date of my last bet, June 15th of 2021. Welcome back into the lounge, everyone. And today we have a really special episode. Up until this point, for those that have listened to the prior episodes, the more than 20 that we've done over the course of the couple years, we've always had on a guest specifically that's either been in recovery for gambling addiction or been a loved one who's been directly affected by somebody's gambling problem. And today we have a guest on for a different reason, though we do have a common friend who is also in recovery for a gambling problem, but that is really not the primary purpose of why he is here. So first I'm going to, without any further ado, introduce my friend Caleb. Caleb, welcome into the lounge. How you doing?
I feel fantastic, and I feel very honored and blessed to be here.
Awesome. So let me set up a little bit about what we're doing here. So Caleb and I met a few months back. He actually ended up showing up at a recovery meeting that I was at, and I didn't know him at all. And he let me know that he was there as a guest, just trying to learn about the Gamblers Anonymous program, because that's the meeting that I was in. And the whole meeting occurred, and then we talked afterwards. And then I learned from him that we did have this common person in our lives who is in recovery for a gambling addiction. And so it led to further conversation. And then we were talking in the coming days and weeks. And Caleb then talked to me about this new project that he wanted to start really delving into, that related to building an application online that would be focused on specifically individuals who needed help with their gambling problem. And the more he walked me through what his vision was, the more intrigued I was, because up until this point, I think everybody knows, if you've listened to other episodes of the podcast, I have never entered into a sponsorship with any company, and that is specifically because I wanted to make sure that any product that I aligned the podcast to was in alignment with what my beliefs are surrounding what this product is in terms of the podcast, right? And for me, this is all about focusing on recovery from a gambling addiction. And there are other apps out there. There's other companies that have similar kinds of features, but not really advocating very specifically for stopping gambling, staying completely abstinent, and that is the path of choice, as opposed to kind of trying to reduce the harm from gambling or not being completely abstinent, right? It was more, well, if you're struggling a little bit, here's some tools that can maybe help you get in touch with where you're really at with your gambling, and maybe you can reduce your gambling or let less harm or whatever. And for me, those kinds of products are all enablers for people that are already struggling. Because if you are online and you're looking for help, or you're anywhere looking for help, to me, you've already very likely gone too far in the problematic behavior. And if you have, then there is no going back. There is no harm reduction. Once you've crossed the line, the only way to get better is to completely stop the behavior. And so when Caleb was describing this product to me and his vision, which was absolute pushing abstinence and recovery from gambling, that is what I want to be associated with. Those are the people that I want to be associated with. And so Caleb's been hard at work, and he's going to talk all about what his product is, and then sort of where he's at with the building of it. And then we'll talk a little bit more also about my involvement. He'll be far more technologically doing it behind the scenes as far as all the building and all that stuff. And then I'm going to be out there trying to be a helpful voice, somebody that people can talk to, do some community posting forums, those kinds of things, some speaker opportunities to share my story, potentially bring on other people onto the app who could share their stories. So a whole lot of still planning and organizing to do. It's in the very early stages. But with that, Caleb, great to have you on. And why don't you talk about what the app is? The name, I'll say the name, and it's really unique in nature. And then you can kind of talk about where did you come up with the name? So that the name of the app is Betttr, but it's Bettr. So Bettr, and it's to quit gambling and live a better life is the way I look at it. But why don't you talk about sort of just your journey with this, where you came up with the idea, and kind of like where's everything at right now?
Wow. First of all, I have so many thoughts because you're a very wonderful speaker and you're very engaging to listen to. And every probably minute or so that you talk, I think of a new idea that I have to like meticulously catalog so I can think about it and bring it up with you.
Okay.
I think it's exciting that we officially get to launch this sponsorship together. And this podcast, I hope, is really special because I'm a different kind of guest than I think you normally have. Right. But also, I really wanted to ball out for this. And I just wanted it to be a really special experience for your podcast audience, that you get to do a video recording for the first time. Face reveal.
Yeah.
Very handsome, by the way.
My ego just has to say nothing at this point.
My ego. Thank you. Yeah. And the other thing is, my ego was very tickled by you because this is one of the many reasons that I love folks that are in GA. And we can talk about this. I'm sure a question that maybe we'll talk about a little bit more is how Betttr interacts with GA and what our opinion is on it.
Yeah.
And we both know that GA has no opinion on Betttr, and that this is totally separate, and that you are in recovery and you're working the 12 steps still continually. You never graduate, right?
You're learning the lingo quick.
I have immersed myself in this world really up to my eyeballs, probably, maybe my nostrils. I still catch some breath sometimes, but there's something really special about GA. And so you learn the lingo because to really figure out what it is and to bring that element to more people is kind of how I view the mission of Betttr. Mm-hmm. To really do that, you have to know, and you have to immerse yourself and listen. And the first thing that I found out, and it's a very strange phenomena, and I know that you know that this is true, whether or not you want to admit it, but people in recovery make fantastic and give fantastic compliments. It's unbelievable. They're so observant, and they're the people who are really working the steps, not just going to meetings, but the people who really internalize them. Yeah. They're so connected to you, and it's part of that. I think what Betttr is about, also what we really get at, and we can talk about how the app is built and what it does specifically. Yeah. I want to go through and maybe talk about some of the features too, because these all highlight what our mission is. But from a really big picture, the idea is that we want to be additive to anybody, anywhere, in any situation. So for you have now 5 years of sobriety almost, coming up soon.
Coming up very soon, yeah.
That's in June?
June 15th.
June 15th. Okay, so 5 years of sobriety, and you did it almost all without Betttr, right?
Right.
Like, you did this with GA and the steps, and that's amazing.
Correct.
But even for you, I wanted to create something that adds to your life, that makes it even more accessible to practice the steps, to reach out to other people, to join a community. Like, there's a million things that we will go through one by one, the core tenets of what I found to be the reason that GA works for people to stay sober. But we put them all in the app, and it's all highlighted by, the type of experiences that you have there, right? Like the app really, and we can talk about this. The thing that I am most interested in and most proud of is the mind button on the app, right? And so the mind button is this really cool thing where it has two sections. It has the breathing exercises
Mm-hmm.
category, and then the soundscape ones.
Yeah, it's
and
really
the soundscapes are really fantastic. Is a good way to just take a moment to be mindful. Just listen to some calming sounds and give your mind really a moment to breathe.
Yeah.
But the breath work specifically, I find to be ridiculously powerful. Have you been messing around with that? It's okay if no. I really
A little
don't
bit.
know.
I've tried. But what's interesting about that specifically is one of the 12 steps in recovery is, which is step 11, is all about meditation and prayer. But meditation is a big part of it. And a big part of meditation for a lot of people is breathing. I'm not particularly good at it. It's one of my definite things I need to get better at overall is meditating. I've gotten much better at praying, but meditation is so much about sitting still and listening for the cues and the messaging from above, if you will, or whatever your connection to spirituality and a higher power and God and all that stuff is. And so I've recognized that proper breathing technique and incorporating that into a true meditation routine is something that I could actually really benefit from. So I did a little bit based on what you were asking me to test, and I was blown away and I think people who really are either already interested in doing that and it's part of what they do, I think they'll love it. And then people who are looking to explore it, like me, and they haven't really done that in their life, I think it's a great introduction also for people like that. So yeah, I think it's a great feature that you built for sure.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the first time we met?
Sure. And you were there. And it's for me, anytime I generally go into a meeting, oftentimes there's somebody new who I've never seen before. And you're always wondering when somebody's new, what's the story? At least new to me. It doesn't mean they're brand new. Maybe they've been there before and I just haven't been there before. But when somebody's a new face to me, I always kind of wonder, I wonder what I'm going to learn today about this person. So it wasn't, and then I can't remember exactly when you disclosed that you were there as not a member of GA, but that you were a guest, you were looking to learn about it. Because you didn't talk about the common person we have in our lives until after the meeting was over and we were chatting about it. So I didn't really know, were you coming at it? Because sometimes people will come into meetings who, let's say, are students and they're there as part of like a class curriculum, like in psychology or nursing. We get a lot of nursing students who come because they're required as part of their class to learn about a 12-step program or something like that. So it's not totally uncommon. So I think I don't know that I'm ever like specifically suspicious or thinking somebody's not there genuinely. It's just the nature of what happens in these rooms when people are new and they're experiencing it for the first time, right? So I was incredibly blown away because I based on where I was sitting and where you were sitting, you were very in tune to what was happening throughout the course of the meeting. Like I could tell you were really into what was going on and you were really listening to everybody that was talking. And then to hear afterwards kind of what brought you there, that was just awesome. I didn't know initially who the person was that we were even had in common. That didn't even come out until days later. And so just that you were so curious about it and that you immediately could like vibe that the power of what goes on in those rooms and the experience, even somebody who personally isn't struggling with a gambling problem like yourself, you could still vibe how important it was for the people, for those of us that were in those rooms who have that commonality, right? So that was my sort of broad perspective on that first night.
Yeah, I had a similar experience, and I was in, I think, a really hard place when I came to you. So I had been working on this project. I was like, I want to contribute something. I want to create things that solve real problems for people, and um, that is for whatever I was born Jewish, but for whatever philosophical kind of favoritism I've selected, I have found my way in this kind of like existential, like human maximalism, which means like I all the really good values from Christianity and like they're out of date now, and Judaism and they're out of date now, and Islam and all that stuff. Like there's a lot of good ideas there. And also from modern culture, right? Like American society, and there's a lot of bad things. But my job as a human is to in this world go out and experience and create and provide love and beauty and to help people like make the world a better place.
Mm-hmm.
Like as an existentialist, you got to decide what meaning is to you. And for me, it's like I want to make an impact and I want people to be better off because I was interacting with them, you know?
Yeah.
And I think in these rooms, the first thing that I noticed and I appreciated was I wanted that at least partially for my ego. And so even though I wasn't there for a gambling addiction, you start to notice some human connections about the struggles that you go through, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so before the coping mechanism, that room helps you identify the problem. And so I was figuring out, did I want to build something to help people because I wanted them to love me and I wanted to be important?
Mm.
Or was it because that was my philosophical, spiritual reason for being alive, the place that I go because I find meaning in it? And the answer was it's a little bit of both. But just identifying how I was viewing that made me much, much more in touch with my real purpose for building this and for finding you. And so I was going through all of those struggles, right? Like, why am I doing this? And we were a little bit rudderless too. So yeah. I had 2 other partners before this, and now they've both left the company. I have nothing but fantastic, abundant love for these 2 people. They really, really worked their tails off. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't work out, and the vision wasn't the right way. But I was, before we had broken up and gone our different ways, one of these kids, by the way, shout out to him, is a fantastic, brilliant kid. He's graduating Columbia, or he might have just graduated, actually. He will be graduated when this airs. But he's this like really, really fantastic, amazing, brilliant kid. And he's working on this new like AI company where you can talk to historical figures and whatever. He's going to be fantastic. But when we were talking, and we had met you at this time, because after starting this process of like feeling unsure about how this is turning out and if it's actually going to help anybody and all these worries and stuff, we met you and we were talking to you and we had a meeting and we were just talking about, you know, this small thing, which was like, are we going to have a take a break feature on the app? Right. And it was a disagreement. And I feel like that was the real birthing point of our partnership, even though we had talked and met before.
Meaning he wanted a component that kind of like what I was talking about at the beginning of the kind of partner I didn't want to have. People who think, all right, if somebody wants to use this app, but they're not really interested right now in stopping gambling completely, like they're not committed to that, but they'll take a little respite and kind of see how that goes.
Like, oh, every time I gamble, I go on a binge, I lose 13K, I tap my bank account. Time to take a break.
Take a break, right?
3 months later,
they're back again.
Break's over.
Right.
That's not helping anybody.
No, it's not. And
I didn't want to build that.
Right. And I got that sense after that first meeting that he probably was not quite on that same page, you know?
Yeah.
And look, from a volume perspective, there's a lot of those people in the world who are exactly there. They're struggling with gambling. They don't really want to stop. They don't even know necessarily that they have a problem yet. They're just continuing to repeat this horrible behavior that's resulting in terrible things in their lives. But especially the demographic that's being drawn into this most in our society today, which is our younger generation, particularly young men in high school and college years. That's where a lot of the gambling operators are targeting because of the legalization of sports gambling across most states in our country, and all the access to online betting. And so it's a recipe for going after the youth, which is because the youth is online for everything in the world. And as it relates specifically to sports gambling, that's where you're targeting mostly younger men, right? And but yeah, for me, it's like I lived this in my life. I started gambling when I was that young, and it progressively got worse in my 20s and 30s and 40s. So it was like I already went down this path of trying to take breaks many times and not actually address the problem because I didn't want to address the problem. I didn't even want to know I had a problem. So I was just not ready. So that's why I want to be aligned to people like you as a young person who doesn't live in the delusional world of, oh, this is just a minor little blip on the radar of life. And yeah, I've blown through all this money and it's whatever other negative consequences somebody has incurred so quickly sometimes in their lives, and again attacking the younger generation now, because the quicker you can identify that's actually an issue and that stopping and not continuing the behavior is really the only answer. That's, I think, the kind of application that we need out there, because I don't think that really exists in the market at all. Just like there's no, when you look at all the celebrities on the commercials advertising for the gambling operators, there's no voices out there in the public eye that's speaking the other way, even as a public service announcement. Like, okay, hey, great, this is fun, and most people can do it without a problem, but for some segment of the population, it is going to be a massive problem.
The statistics are staggering.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm actually the oldest of this generation that grew up after the Supreme Court.
Oh, it struck down the federal ban on sports gambling.
Yes.
Yes.
So, PASPA, PASPA, and you should look this up because it's unbelievable. And it's, can we curse on your podcast?
Yes. Fuck yeah.
It's fucking unbelievable. It is a fucking travesty. And like in 2018, the Supreme Court struck down any protections federally against this otherwise specifically designated Indian reservation, Las Vegas, etc., like places where you could gamble. And they just said, have at 'em. They unlocked the tiger's cage and they immediately, and I remember exactly when this happened. It was in 2018. I was a junior in high school. So I'm a 17-year-old boy. So I'm the oldest of this generation that now in our childhood growing up as 13 to plus like year old male kids, the oldest of that generation that was getting advertised to while I was in high school. So it is really outrageous. And I remember thinking like they tested the waters first so that they could take a trial to the Supreme Court, and it was DraftKings. And they said, DraftKings isn't gambling, it's a game of skill. Right?
Right.
And people said, okay, like it's a game of skill, right? It goes to the Supreme Court, they take it down. The data that they looked at in the Supreme Court trial was astounding. Have you seen the data for DraftKings, the winners and losers distribution?
No, I don't think I've looked.
99% of players or something insane. And I will edit this and put the exact information with a link of players or losers on the app. And the winning percentage are professionals. And they advertise like it's a game of skill and you have a chance to win.
Right.
Nobody wins. The people who are beating you are taking the wind direction and speed to factor in how field goals and fly balls are going to be faring in the air and where they're going to go. Yeah. And that helps the home team or the away team. I don't even know. But these people were like, it's a game of skill. 99% of players are losers. Everyone loses. It's an entertainment product, right, and everyone's losing money. Right. And they overturned it and let the wolves out of the cage. Yep. Can you give me an expression to say that's really good? Do you have something snappy? Wolves out of the cage? dogs out of they let the dogs out.
Who let the dogs out?
Who let the dogs out? The Supreme Court in 2018.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And some more graphs and statistics that I can plug in. From 2018 to now, 2026, it's been 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Gambling federally has gone from less than $1 billion, or nationally, less than $1 billion in 2018 because it was illegal. So you go on your vacation to Vegas, you gamble at the sports book, you lose, you leave. No big deal, right? Now, everyone everywhere is allowed to have it. Plus, and this is the most staggering thing that is most important to talk about in this new gambling epidemic. It really is unbelievable. Not only is it gambling legal everywhere in the United States overnight, no regulation about who they can advertise to, how they can advertise, anything like that. Plus, and this is the worst part, it's on your phone. Everyone's addicted to their phones. It's the most addictive technology we have ever seen, and they put gambling right on top of it. Everything that makes you want to be on your phone, your bright colors, the animations, the background, all that stuff is there to draw you in to bet more. And on top of that, they advertise to children. It's like we're going to look back on this period like the Wild West, when nobody was there to do anything to stop these people from being predators.
Yep.
And the motivation that you need to stop these people, you need courage. You need courage, and you need love and support. I'm getting a little bit worked up, and I think I need to calm myself down. But I really think people don't understand that, first of all, we are in the middle of an epidemic, and there are thousands of now gambling companies that are competing to get addicts addicted to their platform.
Yeah.
And so because they're all competing with each other, the only ones that are having success are the most ruthless, the most evil, like the most addictive. And people are not prepared for that. And I'm telling you, as a siren, the canary in the coal mine, I was 17 when this stuff became legal. And since then, the graph has gone from zero, less than $1 billion, to $167 billion gambled annually in the United States. Yeah. $167 billion. 1% of all Americans are addicted to gambling. 3 million people. 10 to 25% are showing one or multiple risk signs. It's like the statistics are unbelievable, and we're kerosene on the fire right now.
And I believe the statistics are way understated, because you have, in my opinion, tens of thousands, maybe millions of people who, if they're not already addicted, they are at minimum having a problematic relationship with gambling, whether they've crossed the official diagnostic test of what it means to be a compulsive gambler and a gambling addict. That might be questionable, but I think the percentages are way underreported, and I totally agree. It's a absolute public health crisis that we are already in. It's not coming; it's already here.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, when you have the tidal wave of momentum that is going on, until there is, in my opinion, until there is federal regulation and federal dollars that are being put into the system to raise awareness, education at a younger point in life, recovery opportunity. I mean, there's less than 5 in-person recovery centers specifically for gambling in the entire country. Definitely under 5. Where if you look at programs for things like substance abuse, alcohol, drugs, there's so much of that out there in the world for people to get help for that. So gambling is still not really being treated seriously, even though it's, as of 2013, officially recognized in the American psychiatric criteria, just as substance abuse
Old
is.
news.
But 2013, that was not that long ago, right?
Yeah.
So it's still, in the grand scheme of the spectrum, new news, and it's taking the world a long time to really catch up to that reality. And in the meantime, all the pariah are out there trying to just capitalize on all the money that's out there, because it is. And that is why I believe you don't have those voices that are out there. You don't have enough politicians that talk about this. There's been a few more that have been coming out trying to put bills through the Congress and things like that. So maybe some of that will start to unlock a little bit, but we've got to have massive federal funding in order to treat this thing and get people help and start to educate people much earlier. I mean, it kind of goes back to, this was way before you were born, but back in the, sure you've heard of it at least, the Mothers Against Drunk Driving campaign that went on, I think in the 80s, right? That's where you had
1880s.
1880s.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Sorry.
1980s. I think it was the 1980s, maybe 1990s.
Okay,
right? Because it was so publicly known that there was so much reckless drunk driving going on, and death and all that stuff, and so you had this massive society push against that, right?
Yeah.
And so it takes a cultural movement in order for things to change, and it takes a long time. And gambling is now this new phenomenon that still so many people still don't even believe it's an addiction. Mm-hmm. It's just like, we'll just stop. You know, it's like, just have some self-discipline and some willpower. Stop. And you can't, if you're a gambling addict, you can't stop gambling any more than the alcoholic can stop taking that next drink, or a drug addict can stop taking that next drug. It's 100%. Every bit as powerful. And for those of us that have lived through the gambling addiction, we call it the kind of the hidden disease, because there's often no signs, physical symptoms of what shows externally on the gambling addict. Whereas typically a substance abuse individual, at some point in time, you're going to see physical deterioration on somebody who's struggling with drugs or alcohol, right? And with gambling, though, this is why I hid it for multiple decades, not years, decades, and nobody really knew anything different. Wow. Because on the outside, it was the same Eric that anybody else knew for my whole life. But on the inside, I was dying a slow death, is what it felt like. And that's what people going through this disease, no matter how young they are or how old they are, or anywhere in between, no matter what gender they are, no matter what their cultural background is, no matter what their sexual gender is, doesn't matter. This disease is an equal opportunist, and all of us that get afflicted by it experience it in very similar ways, which is just an uncontrollable urge to gamble, regardless of the negative consequences that happen. So it's very scary to see what is going on in our world today, especially as it drives more and more, and literally is taking over the minds of our young people in this world, who are going to have their whole lives taken away from them at such a young age before they can actually start living their life, because of all the really normalization and stigma against this whole topic, in my opinion.
Yeah. This is a new problem, and it's distinct from the problem that Gamblers Anonymous has been solving for the past however many years. Gamblers Anonymous is still the best tool to solve this new problem, and I think we both agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to be 70 years since
if you are curious,
the fellowship existed next year.
If you are curious, I'm sure you have resources in the show notes.
Yeah, for sure.
Go check out a GA meeting. If you're struggling with gambling in any level, that is the #1 gold standard resource.
And, you know, we say in GA, the primary purpose of our entire fellowship is to stop gambling and help other compulsive gamblers do the same. Mm. I never represent myself as being the voice of Gamblers Anonymous, because I'm not. I'm one member that's had tremendous success with that recovery tool, and I continue to base my whole life around the tenets of that program. But it also means that I feel like I have a personal responsibility to myself and to help as many people in the world as I can in whatever ways that I can do that, without completely blatantly doing things that are inappropriate. And I like to think that anything that I'm doing along those lines, at least for me, consciously feels like I'm within where I'm supposed to be.
The world that I'm talking about are like my age, like even older than me. So 28 and younger, down to now 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds who are starting to get exposed to this stuff. This age group uses their phones in a totally different way and uses mobile gambling specifically in a totally different way. So because this is the new format of how they're trying, it's like a vape, right? Cigarettes got nerfed. So now here's a vape. And you go, oh, this doesn't give you cancer, it gives you popcorn lung, right? It's like, it's some new medicine that gives you the same results and whatever. And so I was talking to my little brother. And when I was in high school, it had just started, right? I was 17 when they started being allowed to advertise all this stuff. And it was really a lot, but new, right? It takes a while of them beating down on you before you were like, oh, gambling's normal, right? When they first started it, in high school, you have your 20 friends. You have a big friend group, right, of my guy friends. Out of all of us, one of them was gambling, starting to experiment, right? $1, $5 on DraftKings, whatever. I asked my little brother, this is 8 years later. I said, of your 20 closest friends, the boys, how many of you guys have ever placed a bet? And he was like, oh, just placed one? I was like, yeah. He was like, all of us? I was like, how many of you guys bet consistently? He goes, oh, like these guys don't really like it, but like these guys will place whatever. Like the normalization is unbelievable. And it clicked for me, which is, there's no voice out there. All these voices are fake corporate media voices that are out there advertising gambling to exploit you. So they're like, your favorite comedian, like he's selling you out for a buck, right? Your favorite athlete, like he didn't make enough. He wants your money, like the money that he's making. Well, you know what? I don't need to take shots.
Billionaires wanting to. Well, look, I mean, but that's true. We all see who specifically is out there. I'm gonna not naming people by name.
And I think some of them also believe like gambling's okay. Like that is the message. And so part of the people that are perpetuating it are like, I'm just a comedian. I'm just doing a spot and advertisement. Total detachment of responsibility.
Absolutely right. I'm hired to do this just like any other sponsorship.
Yeah, like I'm selling Gatorade.
Whatever, right? Like right. And if you don't have an awareness of what you're promoting, then you're not going to think that what you're doing is inherently wrong. Now, whether that's purposely or subconsciously not being really looked at within the individual, that's for each person to answer for themselves. But with the proliferation of gambling and how much it is talked about now, for any celebrity, star, athlete, comedian, actor to not have some semblance of awareness that this activity, even on a small percentage of basis, is impacting millions of people, because we have over 300 million people in the United States, let alone what's going on worldwide with this problem. I think that's just burying your head in the sand. And it's saying, I'm willing to promote a product that is potentially going to kill people, because that's what it is going to do. Gambling addiction will kill some number of people, and anybody who's addicted to it will go through incredible amounts of pain at minimum, and affect many people in their lives who will also go through tremendous amounts of pain. So the ripple effect, I think there's some statistic I heard, for every one addicted gambler, we affect 7 people on average directly in our lives. Okay? So think about that wide net of the human race that's truly being impacted by this disease. And so it's just shocking to me that you still do not have one person in the public eye, any of these celebrities, stars, athletes, who is willing to go out there and at least say, hey, this is fun and all for a lot of people, and it's a form of entertainment, but be careful. Be careful, because this is really harmful if it gets to the wrong level, But that voice doesn't exist. They're not out there. They're not talking about it. So that's why I say we've got, until you have like some government oversight and mandates and forcing people to talk about this in different ways, this is the wave that we're all combating. And so, programs like GA and other tools that are out there. I mean, there's not nearly enough of them. However many apps get built, there's not enough of those either, you know? And so it's like, well, what can you do differently to bring some message differently that isn't out there today? And I think that's what you're building here with Betttr. So
Yeah, so that is exactly right. And the idea is like there's all these services now that are live, and the resources that people have to compete with gambling addiction, to find a gamble-free life, to be in recovery, are nowhere near as readily available, apparent as all of this gambling advertising. And so our mission is to connect that gap to the younger generation and to say, gambling isn't cool. There is this advertising, fake, astroturfed media push, a corporate, like something that someone came up with in a boardroom about how do we get these people to gamble. And they say, get their favorite athletes, have their favorite comedians, their favorite influencers, put it everywhere in front of them relentlessly until they relent and they try it.
that's right.
Someone who would have never tried it is being targeted and unrelentingly combated.
It's simply a bunny grab.
Simply put, gambling's not cool. I think that maybe I like break up with your bookie because I think it's clear.
Maybe that's.
But gambling's not cool is also probably the simplest way to really put what our message is. You know?
Yeah, that's actually that's a great tagline.
Yeah. And so now we can talk about the app.
Yep.
Right. So this is how we see ourselves. That's our message. We talked a little bit about the mainly young men that we were really looking to connect with. And so I know you have an audience of like dedicated listeners, and I don't know how many of them are this target demographic specifically. I would like to point out, even if you're in recovery now and your gambling addiction, you never gambled on your phone, right? You were in recovery for longer than mobile gambling was a thing. And this is just a gambling recovery app. Anybody, any age, anyone can join.
Sure.
I just have designed this tool, and we designed this tool particularly to be as approachable as possible. Right. So that is the message, because we really think that this group of people needs the most connection, right? But I think you use the app and it's additive, hopefully, in your life.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so that's the philosophy, right? Because we both love, we think that there are other, for you, like Gamblers Anonymous is in your life. That's the core thing. This is, for you, a supplement or a complement, right? Where you can start to practice and continue to practice like you said, like the breath work is an extension of the 11th step.
Yeah.
And the posting in communities like get sober and help, or get abstinent and help other people get gamble free.
Yeah.
Like as one of the tenets, like go into the post community and like connect with people.
Right. And
Like,
that's a big
it's an
part.
extension.
It's a big part
Yes.
of GA too, is carrying the message, and which of course we do, those of us that take that seriously in any place we are, inside of the rooms or outside of the rooms. If we can connect with somebody who is struggling and needs the messaging, that's what we do. And so
100%.
the app becomes a very attractive opportunity, even for those with a lot of recovery, whether they're in GA or they're not, to join a community like that, because then you're helping somebody else who's coming in and struggling.
Yeah.
You know, with the messaging that there is hope, and that the cool thing is not to keep gambling. The cool thing is to actually recognize you have a problem, say you need help. You're here on the app because you sought help. You didn't stumble on the app.
Yeah.
Right? And so you went searching because you're already, if not fully acknowledging you got a problem, you're really curious about what the hell is going on inside your mind, and that why are you recklessly spending money in this manner when it's being destructive in your life for probably a multitude of reasons for people. Lack of connection to society, an inability to carry out relationships, be able to have presence of mind when you're in a conversation with somebody. Like you had made the point earlier about, it seems like you said people in recovery that are going through these programs, they're so genuine about giving compliments, I think is what you were saying. And I think that comes from when you go through addiction, you become completely isolated and disconnected from relationships, and your ability to be honest and genuine kind of, you just lose it all because you're completely consumed by the addiction. And so when you get into recovery and you start to like become a human being again, and you're like a true part of civilization and you're a contributing person to that, it's easy to recognize in somebody else positive traits and acknowledge that and say something to somebody, because that might make the complete difference in somebody who's having a crappy day,
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
And human connection is completely evaporated through the addiction process, you know? And so if we can get to people in these forums, online, through this app, which I believe has a tremendous power to do, there's a great opportunity to help people to understand there is a better life by stopping the activity completely, and stop fooling yourself to think that you can reduce your behavior and that it's going to all just be okay because you hit the pause button. That's not the way it works.
Mm.
And anybody who's out there, especially people that have gone through an addiction and then they're building companies and apps that promote reduction of harm, to me is I would have to ask that person where their moral conscience is. Honestly, um, people got to do, I guess, whatever they got to go do. But I know for me what it felt like going through the addiction and now going through recovery. And I would never say to, knowing that somebody's struggling with gambling addiction, there's not one part of my soul that would say something that would promote or give them the impression that they could alter their gambling behavior and eventually get to a better place. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
It sucks that that's probably the truth, huh? But look, you need to take the truth as it is, right? And so for me, I think like I did a lot of work on this app to make it fun and engaging, right? Like when you engage with the app and you make a friend, you get a notification and an achievement and it feels really good. And like when you do your gratitude homework or journal, right? And you reflect on what's really good, it's like, that's good work that you want to do. And you get a streak, right? Like all that stuff. We really want to influence you to explore the app and to enjoy it in a way that you have a positive experience starting to dip your toe into recovery. But to be honest with you, if you're really using the app right, in my opinion, it's not going to be that fun. It's going to be really hard work, you know? Like if you're really getting in there to dig into yourself and to really help others, it's not like, it's a responsibility and it's hard work to be gamble free. And so like we offer, I think, the opposite reward structure of what these gambling apps offer, which is slow dopamine, right? These other places are offering you fast dopamine that will deteriorate your quality of life, that will kill people eventually. And we offer the opposite, which is when you're on there and you are journaling about how you feel and you're reflecting on some really fucked up shit, right? I know you got some, you and me, because we're humans, right? Something you're embarrassed about, something that you need to work out to become the best possible version of yourself. When you're doing that on the app, that sucks. And it's beautiful because it's the hard work that keeps you sober, but it isn't something, it's not a spa, it's a gym, you know, and you need to work hard and utilize it because it's a complement to everything else you're doing, right? Like just having the subscription doesn't keep you gamble free, right? Like it's just a conduit and a community where you can reach out to other people also on your same journey and give some structure to some of the practices that I think you espouse as a recovery coach.
Yeah, and I think for people that are new in addiction and trying to figure out what's going on and finally getting to a place where they're willing to explore the situation, we all go into that thinking we're terminally unique, Because when you start to exhibit the behaviors you exhibit when you're experiencing gambling addiction, you really think nobody else is doing what you're doing. The behaviors, the kinds of betting you're doing, the reckless amounts of money you're spending that you don't have. You really start to feel like nobody's going to really understand me. Nobody's lived my story. And you find out when you really get honest that you're not that unique at all, and that we all have this common language, and we all process gambling in a very unhealthy way, and that's why an addiction becomes what it becomes. And so these forums just have a great opportunity if somebody is open, if they're just open and willing to first listen without bailing out and saying, this is just, I can't stop gambling. I don't want to stop gambling. No, I don't want that. And then you're going to have people that's just facts. You're going to have people that come onto this app and then they're going to leave because they don't want to stop. And you're going to lose people from probably a business standpoint, or however you develop, the business structure of it and pricing and things like that. You'll lose people because they're just not ready. But for the people that stick with it and are really truly committed to a better way of life without gambling, that's the audience. That's the point. That's the niche. That's the uniqueness of what you're building, different than what is out there. And having voices like me, who has lived through this and continues to revolve my life around recovery from this in a multitude of fashion. It's great to be a part of a new opportunity like that, because it's just another avenue in a healthy, positive way to help carry that message to people who need it. And so, yeah, I think that there's a lot of opportunity, and it's also understanding that you can't help people who don't want to help themselves, and the people that aren't going to stick around and use an app that really is pushing a better way of life and serious abstinence and recovery. That's just not going to be what this app is for. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. What do you mean? It's not for serious abstinence or recovery?
No, is. Meaning, if you come into the app and you're just thinking, I'm just going to play around here and I'm going to kind of treat this like any other community thread or whatever's out there, right? That's really not what your vision is, and it's not something I would align to either, right? Yeah. So, like, this is for people who ultimately really want to stop and stay stopped, and then help other people stay stopped. And to the extent we're able to help direct people to a program like GA, because that's a place tried and true of helping millions of people historically to recover from a gambling problem, right? That's, and then, but even for people that aren't quite willing to do that yet, if this could be a safe place for them to join a community of people that are taking it seriously and want to stop, not having all these voices of, it's okay, like, dude, just stop for a week and, like, let's see where you're at. Go find another app for that. Yeah. That's not the vision of this, right? Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see as things evolve what happens.
100%.
Because it's truly unknown territory. There is no app out there that's pushing a true message and vision this seriously about stopping gambling.
No, and I think it just comes from the fact that, like, the reason that I'm so honored to be your first and only sponsor to the Gambling Recovery Lounge is because, like, we talked about this before, and I hope it's okay to share this. We can edit it out, but you were like, this is like a therapy tool for me, for my recovery. This isn't a business.
Right.
How many dollars have you made on this ever?
Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry, not to belittle the success of the podcast, which is very successful, but clearly the goal of this was as a therapy tool. and to further the mission, which is, like you said, get and help others become gamble free. And so it's a really high bar. And I think the reason that we pass it is because we have a commitment to excellence, right? Like we are going to be, because of your advice, I think, which is like double checking for making sure there's no triggers or anything, that it's only a positive experience if you're going to use it. And B, being really the moral voice of, not moral, but ethical. It's about the way that we do things, I think, has made it so clear about how we're going to help people and how we're different than these other companies that are doing it for profit. And I think we just have that innate advantage because you're doing this for your recovery. And that's why we're doing this. And there's no pressure to make money, right? First, we help people. And so this is my thing always, which is, this is advertising. And this project, it is a company, but it's been bootstrapped together. We made $0 so far. We have 26 users, and we're just starting to advertise this, right? Like,
that's more users, I think, that listen to the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's not true. But it is, what you said earlier is true.
Well, hopefully they'll be the same audience soon, you know?
I've made no money on the podcast, and it's why. But again, it was never meant for that purpose. And yes, advertising, sponsorship opportunity is out there, but it's like, that's not why I'm in this.
Yeah.
You know? And until, but we all live a life too. Like you do have to, have to live a life too. And so that's why I was so intrigued by this, because, okay, this is truly something that I can align myself to and feel good that the people that come and listen to this podcast, those are the people that hopefully in droves will go to an app like that, because I'm sure, of course, because I don't know, I hear from some people who listen to the podcast, but you know, the vast majority of the audience, I'm never going to hear from. They're just listening. There's some of those that are going to probably be people that are just maybe sort of curious, but really not ready either. And maybe they'll go to the app, maybe they won't, or maybe they'll go and they'll check it out and then they'll be like, I'm not ready for that. But it's kind of like a lot of recovery is about planting a seed. We say it all the time in the GA rooms too. Like, that's why the large majority of people who come in don't come back, or really struggle in and out for a long time before they are like, okay, now I'm ready. My life is a disaster enough now. And I've hit my fifth rock bottom or whatever it is, right? But when you keep the message consistently and you keep planting the seed, sometimes you just have to let it grow. And eventually somebody, hopefully they may not get it right now, but if they eventually get it because you planted that seed, that's why something like this takes time, and it takes patience and perseverance, because not all the results necessarily all come out right away, right? And so that'll be interesting to see how that evolves too, right?
Yeah. You know, we're in Hollywood right now. There's that famous guy, and he's a very good analogy for how I feel about this. He's that guy who's like, Christ is king, Christ is coming. He's a preacher, and he walks up and down Hollywood Boulevard with the sign. He's a very famous guy, and he has the white sign on both sides. And all day, he's just screaming at the top of his lungs, just proselytizing. And he's just a true believer, and it's how I feel, where it's like, the whole world is going on. He doesn't bother anybody, right? He stands on the intersection so technically he is jaywalking, but he just stands in a safe place. And as people drive by, he professes his love for Jesus. And again, I was raised Jewish and I'm not religious, but I have no spiritual connection to Jesus, but I have a spiritual connection to spirituality. He as a human has found his calling, and what he does gives him purpose. And so I love and believe in him for that. And it's how I feel about this project, which is like, nobody else on this street, this boulevard, they're all tourists, right? They're on Instagram. Like they maybe don't have any experience with gambling, or they have other things going on, or they still want to gamble. They haven't hit their fifth rock bottom yet, or whatever. But if you're ready for the message, I'm out here and I'm screaming it, you know, I'm on the corner, and we're ready for you. And it's really serious. And if you come and you leave, when you come back, we'll be in the same place screaming.
Exactly. Right. It's like, it's like we always say to people at GAs,
I don't need to make it religious.
Or I say, it's never okay to relapse, but it's always okay to come back, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
You know,
Agreed.
while the percentages are what they are of people that do relapse, it's very high, but it's like that doesn't mean that everyone should just keep relapsing because that's just the norm. Like you don't, that doesn't have to be your story. It hasn't been my story. From the day I walked into these rooms nearly 5 years ago, I haven't relapsed. But that's because I took it very seriously right away and completely engulfed myself in recovery, because I was at that point of my disease and my life being completely torn apart, that I didn't have another relapse in me in terms of what I was trying to do on my own before I ever got to GA, right? All the stopping and starting I did because I had no program. I had no community. I had nobody that I could reach out to and say, I need help. I can't stop myself because I've failed at this a million times. And that's what I hope this will do, is connect to some number of people that are ready for the message and then ready to really have a better life, because making gambling a priority of your life is not fun. It's not cool. And even if you're not an addict, the consumption of time and energy and time away from people and family events and educational opportunities and work opportunities and all the good that anybody can be doing in the world to help other people completely goes out the window if your focus is spending a lot of time on gambling.
And so, as part of that ethos, this came from you as a recovery tool, and you're conservatively putting your stamp on it. It's something that I take very seriously, and because of that, part of this announcement is we are still, even though we've made $0 and all we're doing is investing and putting in advertising to share this, I think we worked really hard enough that even though this app is going to go through continual generations and growth, like it's an active project, we are at the point now at the start where I'm comfortable sharing it with people.
Great.
I want this to start helping people today. This is going to come out in 2 weeks, so when it comes out today, the first 200 users are going to be free, and this is going to be the first place anywhere that our project Betttr is going to be announced. So for your specific audience, I don't think they're even going to fill up 200, so we're going to keep spreading the word to more people and give away more free accounts. We're going to be giving away this project for free, totally free. If you struggle with gambling, if you're in gambling recovery, please try the app. We are not advertising. We're not taking any of your personal data. We might ask to track your data across your phone. You can say no if you're uncomfortable with that. The only reason we ask is because in the future we're going to be adding some features that are going to be able to moderate, block, or permanently remove all gambling sites from across your phone. We're not looking at anything else. Like, we're not selling your data. We don't keep your data. If you don't want us to do that, you can say no, and it won't affect your app experience at all. We're 100% focused on anonymity, privacy, and we want to make this as seamless and as easy as possible. So if you're interested, by the time this downloads or this uploads, version 1.1.2 of the app, which will have a second round of bug fixes and improvements after the 1.1.1, will be available. That'll be totally free, and the first 226 users to download the app will have a totally free membership. And hopefully I'll be taking their, we're going to make it really easy to review and give comments. So hopefully you understand this is a new project and we're continuing to grow. We'll give comment cards, and you can reach out to me at any time at Caleb, C-A-L-E-B, at bettr.net. I'm a one-person company and I do a lot, but the most important thing is that we give excellent customer service to the people who are joining our accounts. And so these are lifetime free memberships, by the way. So
the 200 are going to get it for life.
200 are going to get it for life.
Nice.
Just have it for free, and just please help me make it as good as it possibly can be to help people.
Yeah, you can be part of, then you're part of truly like a movement, you know? And your voice, recommended suggestions can be like, cool, now I made this suggestion, Caleb took it in, he used it, and look, now I'm part of something that's going to help other people, which is really the essence of how recovery communities really work. It's really spreading the message so that the next person can spread the message to the next person. That's how it all works.
And so to really accept this free membership, I hope that people realize that we eventually need to start charging because I have overhead. So we need to
you have a
make
company
money.
to run.
I need to make money. I really don't care about getting rich. I need to just make money so that we can provide good service. Like, just some of the stuff costs money, but that's not that much money. Yeah. So we're going to make this really cheap, but whatever we make it for the first 200 pioneers is what we're looking for. It's a pilot program. Yeah. Please join us. And part of the commitment after you do your onboarding process, which is really, I think, powerful, at least for me, when I do it and I design it. I don't know. It's actually changed since you onboarded, so I don't know if you've seen it. Okay. But it's a community guidelines page. And we talk about all the things we expect of our members. And it is one of the core things that differentiates us from the maybe questionably moral other tools, right? Mm-hmm. Which is to join this, and specifically for these 200 pilot programs. Like, we're giving away these for free, but it's expensive for us. It costs us money to give these away. And so we are happy for anybody to have these and use these for free. But if you're going to use them, we really want pioneers that are going to be leaders in our space. And I think that's why you were the first account, not to gas you up, but we want people who are actually committed to do and have that mindset that you talk about, which is relentlessness. Like, there is something about, like, there's no compromise. Like, this is our mission. And like you said, it's never okay to relapse, but it's always okay to come back, right? Mm-hmm. Which is, like, some people are going to join the app and they're going to maybe have sobriety for a long time already. There's an option when you start. You can enter how many days of sobriety you already have. And yes. There's also a fresh start option too.
My day counter's on.
Yeah.
It's good. Now I have two. Any moment I can go here or go there and know where the heck I'm at.
But basically we put in these trackers, and it's anyone can join us at any point. And so there'll be some people that already joined with sobriety, and this just adds to their sobriety practice. Yep. So for people who are in recovery, this is a space where you can go and you can really continue to do the work that keeps people. So there are going to be people that join that already have recovery and won't ever relapse. There'll be people that join fresh, that it'll work for them and they will never relapse. That's fantastic. But then there'll also be people that come back and go multiple times. And I think that's okay. Treat people with love and respect. And being angry or dwelling on failure can be powerful if you're analyzing it, right? Mm-hmm. Why did I fail? Yeah. How do I set my life up better or get more help from people in these ways so that I can be more successful in the future? That is okay. Think about your failures to get better. But don't think about your failures because you associate them with yourself. I think a lot of people problem gamble because it makes them feel better. Yeah. And if you are not dissociating your problems from your person, and I think that's a lot of the work that you do in GA and also on the app, I think you're going to have a more likely chance to relapse because you're unprepared for the moment when it comes and that same problem arises again. And you say, I don't know you, stranger, and you tricked me before and you got me again, anyway, so we've been talking about a lot of different things. There's some other stuff there's two things that I really want to get out of the way. I don't know if you do an outro. Do you do an outro? No?
What's outro?
Clearly Thank you guys for listening. We gotta.
Oh, well, I wrap it up.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I don't know if you have a whole thing. I guess it's quick. Do you want to talk about the story of when you first met Tim? I'd love to hear that. So the first time that we actually met in GA, I went to that open meeting and we didn't know each other. He didn't know that I was going to be there. I actually knew who you were. I don't know if you know this because our mutual friend, my uncle, he had told me about you, right? He goes, that's a great meeting. I've been to it before. I think sometimes I have this. Are you you guys sponsoring each other or just close friends? No, just very close friends. I had that confused, I think, at the time. Okay. But they're very, very close friends. And they have a very special relationship that I think the first time you told me about the first time you guys met, you cried on the phone. And it really moved me. And Tim is my uncle, or our mutual friend is my uncle. And I got to see him in a really lovely and beautiful light because of how amazing your friendship was and how you found it in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And so we met, I knew who you were, and we discovered, or you discovered, maybe we discovered mutually together that we had this person of interest in our lives together. And many weeks later, over the phone, you told me the story of how you guys met. And I would love for you to share that.
Oh,
please.
I'd love to share it. And no, I didn't know that you knew who I was that night. So
But I didn't know your face.
And well, what's funny too is that particular meeting is not typically a meeting I'm at. So it's really interesting that you were guided there as opposed to a more regular meeting where I'm at with our friend. And that I happened to be there that night, which is just but this is what happens to me all the time in recovery now.
Yeah.
You just experience these sort of just mind-boggling things that, people will say, well, that's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
No, they're not, because I've had those kinds of things happen continually where you're like, you're exactly where you're supposed to be when it happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, the story with him is the first when I started in GA, the first 26 days in a row, I went to a Zoom meeting. It was during the pandemic.
You went 26 days in a row.
26 days in a row to this. There was a meeting that was going on every single night on Zoom, and I stuck with that because I was getting to know a few people from that room. There was a lot of people in it, and I just thought, okay, I'm comfortable. Like okay, I can do this. Now, it was during the pandemic. It was mid 2021 when I started. So the pandemic had been going on for a year. So there were some meetings that had been shut down that were around the Los Angeles area, but there were still many that were open. I just was too scared to face people in person. So I stuck behind my Zoom camera, which there's a lot of that goes on today as well. That's a separate topic completely. And finally, one night I said to my partner, I said, I have to go face this in person. Like, I don't know what it was and why in that moment, but like, I think it was, I was realizing, I think this might really work. Like, I'm really feeling like a lighter load. I'm feeling like I'm regaining my consciousness, if you will. And I just knew, like, if this is going to be the thing, I can't stay behind the camera, and this can't be the story. And so it was the next day. I went to a meeting that was outdoors on a Sunday morning. I can say it. I've said it many times on this podcast. It's at Griffith Park in Los Angeles. And my partner went with me, and we were late because it's a little difficult to find if you don't know exactly where it is the first time. And I think we would have been late anyway, just based on the time. But it was probably 15 minutes late, and kind of saw the group that was in a circle in the park area. And we start walking down this like hilly area from the parking lot to where the meeting is actually being held. It wasn't a ton of people. I think that day there was, I'll say maybe 10 to 12, something like that, if I'm remembering. And I was just petrified, and people are looking, because it's like, you always wonder, are you looking for GA? Are you looking for some other meeting? Are you just looking for something else in the park? You're looking for a picnic? Like, what are you looking for? So I was like trepidatiously walking towards the circle. Tim was he was running the meeting that day. He was the secretary for the meeting. And so he was the first voice that greeted me. And then there was another gentleman who brought us seat cushions, because you're actually on a grassy dirt area. But I just didn't do any research really to figure out we should actually be bringing chairs with us. So this guy had a couple of extra seat cushions, because this happens pretty commonly. It was very kind to bring those. But yeah, he was the first voice, and he was so kind and warm and inviting, and but anyway, he was the first voice that I heard, and he was just incredibly welcoming. And so I always will be grateful, because it was such a terrifying moment to face it in person and to just be greeted with, I don't know, there was just something about his voice that was very welcoming. And I just will always remember that so fondly. And that could have been the difference between me sticking around or not, you know. And so that meeting that day changed my entire life, because from that point on, I made a full commitment that I was going to get knee deep involved in the fellowship and do everything that I could do to help. And that's what I've done. And it's led to a lot of amazing things in my life and a lot of amazing people in my life. And your uncle's one of them.
I really appreciate you telling that story about my uncle Tim. And I don't even know if you know this, but like Tim is, I think he's an especially amazing man who's been through a lot of torture in his life. Like he's been through trials and tribulations, I think, that very few people really understand or have been through. And he wears it on his sleeve. And I think being, you know, a gambling addict is, like you said, like there's no marks on your skin or anything, but the fucking damage it's doing to your life and your psychology,
Yeah.
to depression, to all this stuff, like making you feel socially awkward. Like it took a lot from him. But when I heard your story for the first time, I really saw my Uncle Tim. You cried when you told me that story for the first time over the phone, and we weren't even in person. And I just felt like he was a fucking superhero, that there was someone out there that it meant so much to him. And the way that he did that was through gambling recovery. That he was such an amazing, brilliant, selfless, I guess maybe it goes differently if somebody else was the first voice you ever heard from GA, right? And that person became this same special to you. But in this world, it was my fucking Uncle Tim. And there's someone out there that owes their, not that you owe his, I think you owe his life, but I know you've talked about how meaningful it was to you.
Yeah.
And that was my fucking uncle who did that. And it made me so proud of him and see him in this such exceptional light, where I really got to fully appreciate and love the courage that it takes to recover from gambling, the courage that it takes to have somebody rely on you. Like, just, I really love him so much, and I'm very proud of the man he is. And this whole experiment has totally changed my relationship with him. You know what I would love to do also? We should make a plan. Griffith Park. I would love to go to that meeting with both of you.
Well,
is it open or is it closed?
Oh, it's closed. No, it's open.
Oh,
and
okay.
June 20th, I will celebrate 5 years there. So that'll be a big meeting celebration. And there's a pinning ceremony, because you get like pins every 5 years at your 1 year, and then every 5 years after. So it's an open meeting. Would love to have you there. I sure hope Tim will be able to be there.
Yes.
I assume
Wait,
as long as he's
one.
in town. This is the big
So
one.
the celebration you're talking about is the Griffith Park meeting, because I was planning to be there anyway.
Yeah, well, this is the Griffith Park meeting on Saturday that I actually started 4 years ago.
Wow.
The first meeting I'm talking about that I met Tim, same exact place at Griffith Park. It was the Sunday meeting. So there's one on Saturday and one on Sunday. But the one on Saturday is the one I started and I got the inspiration from what this experience was for me. There were other factors that went into why I picked that place.
Yeah.
But it's kind of become my home go-to place for a number of different reasons. So that's going to be the sacred ground in which that we'll celebrate that. So yeah, please come.
I will be there, and hopefully
You just can't cry.
I can cry if I want to. You know, big girls don't cry, but
right, big boys do.
Big boys cry. Big boys cry. Yeah.
I cried so much when I first came into GA, because every time I would like share about something, I was just, for a long time, I had so much to get out because this disease plagued me for so many years. And so I think when I finally got to a place of being able to realize it's actually not just okay to be vulnerable in these rooms, it's important to be vulnerable. And I find the people that have the best recovery are the people that are most vulnerable. But there's a lot of people that still struggle with that, even though they're committed to the program and they want this better life. Kind of changing certain parts of you when it's kind of built into your DNA. It's hard work. It really is hard work, but it's incredibly rewarding when I see anybody get to that place of being able to just let it out, just let it go, because there's nothing manly about suppressing your feelings and just walking around with a chip on your shoulder, which is what I think suppressed feelings do. They just build and fester, and if you keep anything inside, it has no chance to release. And the more that's stuffed down there, the more pain it's going to come back up with eventually.
100%.
You know, if you're lucky, you know, and so once you recognize, hey, let the pain out, that's a great place to be.
Okay, so let's wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
So
all right, so let's get into the app.
So first, before we talk features, we're going to put the resources in the show notes, but I just want to say everything verbally one last time. So Betttr is spelled Bettr. Our website is bettr.net. Basically, from that website, there's a link to our download. There's some information about why we started this and some mailers and stuff we're going to add our Instagram. But basically, it's just a landing page. That's our website. It'll show up on Google or whatever. bettr.net/download. That is the link to our iOS store. So if you click that in the show notes, that'll take you right to the iOS store. You can also search Betttr in the App Store. And by this time, if it's not showing up, maybe search Betttr Quit Gambling. We're going to do some advertising in the App Store so that shows up for you. But right now, if you can't find it there, use the link.
But yeah, so it is for people to find it directly, they go to the App Store.
Go to the App Store
and then do the search for it, and it'll say, if you don't get it right away because you got to navigate a little bit, the key is, and it's a great logo. It's like this cool gold black kind of. It just pops out, so it's very distinct, and then it kind of has the I think the tagline there, at least today, is
it'll be
better
with
and then
your
quit.
Okay, so now an exercise. This will be the last thing we do, and then I'll hand the show back over to you. I mean, not hand, it's your show. Anyway, I'm going to bring up my phone, and I'm going to go through some of the apps and the features.
Cool.
You're the recovery coach, so I would love I'll talk a little bit about why I built it, why I designed it, some of the science behind it, and then you can talk about, maybe from a user perspective, how they should really use it so that they get the best recovery possible. So the first part of the app, this happens every time you download it, is you get walked through the onboarding process. And this is something that I think is really important to both of us. This actually came from GA. The inspiration was the 20 questions. And there's a technical threshold that you're supposed to cross in order to be classified as a compulsive gambler. I think that we didn't need that technical classification because we talked about this before. It's a little bit random. So we use this to get to know you as well as we possibly can, and to customize your profile and your experience so that everything and all of your information that really connects to you as a person and your recovery process, we know about. So we asked a little bit about how you were gambling when you were gambling. We ask a little bit about what your goals are. We ask a little bit about what kinds of areas you were having trouble with. So we use all of that information to customize your personal experience. Is there anything that you like about the onboarding experience particularly? Did you feel like the app was really getting to know you through this process?
Yeah, and I think first of all, the ease of which you onboard is like, it's just super easy, like easy step by step, and it's fun, like, because you've got some of the avatar caricature stuff, right? So
I worked really hard on that.
I think that's, yes, this is a very serious topic, and yes, ultimately we want to address it very seriously for everybody, but you want to have a good time and laugh a lot along the way.
This next feature This is my favorite feature on the app, actually. These are all of the Earths for achievements. It goes on as your streak unlocks. So you can scroll through your gallery of unlocked Earths. You unlock Earths as you get to different milestones of days gamble free.
Can we just show? See, look at that color. How good is that
color? It is
color?
beautiful.
It just pops right off the page.
And that card welcomes you back. It checks in with you. Are you still going strong? Do you need to reset?
Yeah.
Again, relapse is never okay, but you're always welcome back.
That's right. It's got my day count right too, by the way.
Yeah, hell yeah, it does. It's
good.
all working.
It's accurate.
Should we talk about the gratitude button?
Yeah, gratitude, which
I'm a big gratitude advocate.
Yeah, and I am too. I am a part of within my recovery community. I'm a part of 3 different email chains of gratitude lists where a bunch of people are just every day or nearly every day listing multiple things out that they're grateful for today. You know, because when you're going through addiction, you're not grateful for anything. Your life is just terrorizing. Yeah. And so when you start to come out of that and you're really truly being successful in achieving a better way of life, there's so many things from very, very simple that you lost appreciation for while you were in addiction because you're just unaware and checked out of life, to very big things. And so just expressing something every single day, no matter what is going on, the worst thing, because look, recovery is not going to make everything in your life great. Yeah. It doesn't guarantee you that. It just guarantees you that you're able to actually function and handle whatever life brings your way. And you're going to have a lot more things that go well than go poorly. But life is still in session for everybody. And so it's important to, even through the tough times, be able to say, okay, this is a really shitty thing that's going on. I don't feel good. I'm not in a good mood. But if I really have the perspective of how does this feel right now compared to any day that was so great because I was winning all this money as an addict. Yeah. Today's still a much better day than any of those days, right? And so it's like, just write something, journal it down. What am I grateful for? Is it a person? Is it a situation? Is it a cup of coffee? Like whatever it is where you can truly say, thank God I'm not gambling, and it's destroying my life. And here's a very simple way of expressing why I'm grateful. Yeah, very briefly. I think that it's really something that I found going to GA meetings and doing research, really building the best possible app we could. I found it is almost impossible to have an urge and feel truly grateful in the present moment at the same time. Because when you're really grateful for who you are in the present, you're not looking to escape. And so connecting with a daily gratitude journal that you can see here that prompts you to keep track of all the things in your life that you love, I think helps you be more present when you're having an urge. And urges come and they're uncontrollable and they'll never stop. But being able to think about all the things in your life that you love, that are nice to enjoy, helps, I think, put the urge in perspective. And if you really master it, you really find true gratitude, really helps, I think, battle those urges and your likelihood of relapsing. And I just want to correct something you just said. You said urges will never stop. And that's not true. Urges will stop. Wow. Yeah. In fact, and it's one of our, you know what? I take it back. And that's actually new information for me. So the 20 questions, so one of those questions deals about, I think it's question 18, do arguments, disappointments, or frustrations create within you an urge to gamble? And it's a present tense question. And where all the other 19 questions are past tense questions. And it's really interesting that this one was created in the present. So some people use it as, even though I'm not really feeling an urge, I'm going to still recognize that those things, those frustrations in my life are still capable of creating an urge, even though they might not be right now. But for me, I have now not had an urge to make any bet for a while. And when I say a while, I'm again about to have 5 years. I would say at least the last 3 years, nothing has occurred in my life that has given me an urge to gamble.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, but that is why when you immerse yourself in recovery and you really make that the cornerstone of your life, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like your whole life gets better, and those urges actually do go away. The compulsion to place a bet or an urge to do it, it disappears
Yeah.
because when you're working a strong program, it's gone. It just goes away. And so I have found the people that even after years still say I still have urges. Typically speaking, those people are not working strong recovery programs. They may be abstinent still, but there's missing pieces
Right.
to other things that are going on that they're not probably invested enough in recovery as a priority versus other things in their life that they're prioritizing.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about all these features really quickly so people can know what's on it, and then let's get out of here. Are you ready? Okay, so gratitude, amazing. And then we have the urge tracker. The urge tracker is just a place to put anxious energy when you're feeling an urge. And we have fantastic different ways that you can track and then do breath work after it prompts you to help find your center.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about urge at all?
Yeah, I mean it's cool. It kind of gives you a range from minimum to uncontrollable, and it's kind of a scale from 0 to 1. So it's it's really for you to assess, well, what are you actually feeling right now?
Yeah.
And the more you go up the scale, and then you can kind of hit the continue button, and then it will take you beautifully to breath work, right?
Yes.
And ask you what triggered your urge
Yes.
as well, because it's good to get in touch with what you're actually feeling.
It records how intense your urge is. It records what triggered your urge. It gives you a prompt. Yes, that's the breath work, I think, starting, or maybe the reloading.
Yeah.
It gives you a prompt it talks about how awareness is power, which is just a mentality shift, which is by getting on and acknowledging your urge. Maybe urges are avoidable at the end, but for people that are starting to be in recovery, they're going to have to weather them.
Absolutely.
And so getting to the app is a win, and to be present and recording them, and to not gamble absentmindedly or mindedly.
Yep.
Okay. The other app, and this is really cool. We have a special SOS panic button. If you click on this panic button, these are all of the emergency resources that you need to see. They have amazing resources, and the urge is on there. So when you click the panic button, the top thing that pops up is the National Problem Gambling Helpline.
Mm-hmm.
That is a 24/7 line. Call it if you are in need of emergency assistance. That's a fantastic resource. That's number one. Below that is where new users will see a record a message button. And for users that have used this app, it will be a watch video message. And this message, this option, this feature, basically allows you to record a message to your future self. And so when you are having a struggling time, an urge, or in your moment where you're feeling like you're going to relapse, you can watch a video that you recorded for yourself in the future when you were struggling and going through something. And you can rewatch the video and think about why you want to be sober. Another deterrent, and it's not something that's going to make you stay sober or not sober, make you stay in recovery, but it's another opportunity to be thoughtful about your decisions, to take power as someone living a gamble-free life. And then we have a pledge that you can review and sign, and a checklist of different things that you can do if they're triggers in your life to make sure that you're setting up your life in a way that isn't ultra triggering. Do you want to say anything about the panic button quickly?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's ways to evolve that too. I mean, I think we can create other resource at a push of a button. That could be a link to go find a Zoom meeting. And get right into that immediately.
And these resources will continue to grow and develop as we make sure we're selecting the best possible resources.
Yes, and as far as the national hotline, that is a great resource because it will connect you to somebody who is trained as a counselor around problem gambling. It's not any therapist just practicing a general practice of therapy, right? Somebody who's specifically gone through a training course, has a certification, and they know how to talk to anybody about what is it that's causing them to call right now. And then they'll kind of, depending on where you live and the resources available in the state that you're in, be able to guide you.
And regardless of whether or not you download Betttr, that's an amazing resource. It's free.
It's an incredible.
You can find it online. Just Google it and click on the link.
Yep.
It'll take you right there 24/7.
Yep.
Okay. The other button that's on the panic button is the Mind app. And this is really powerful. Some people might wonder, like, what is the Mind feature, right? The Mind button on this app. The Mind feature is basically everything that you need to do to, I think, be present is probably the way that I would say it. But there's a lot of physiological controls that you can learn in the Breathwork app that help people with urges and help people be more present. I think even just enrich their gamble-free lives. So part of we found the 4 best breathing rhythms and exercises for recovery. And so it's very varied. There's box breathing, which is 4 by 7 by 8. And basically you lengthen your exhales and have long holds of your breath, and you have short nasal inhales. And that breathing pattern, if you do it on the app consistently, has been shown to like lower blood pressure, lower diabetes risk. Like it just makes you feel better and more in control. And one of the things that it really does, which is particularly good for gambling recovery, is it lowers your cortisol level. So all those urges of discomfort and stress that you have that sometimes can trigger gambling, or if you're having an urge, make you feel even more panicked and stressed about it. Doing this consistently builds a long-term defense. Plus, we have this other breathing pattern called the physiological sigh. This one works instead of long-term, it works acutely. So this is the resource that we put in right after you have an urge. So when you go through and you log an urge, it'll take you to the Mind app right after to do your physiological sigh. And that physiological sigh is the most imminent way. Like it's a Stanford research paper that found this pattern of breathing, and they found that it's the fastest known way to humans to lower heart rate and blood pressure in a minute. And so we did all this research to give you guys the best possible tools. And the Mind app is my favorite. Plus, there's beautiful soundscapes. It's a place to go to, I think, to be more in touch with your spirituality and yourself and your journey, and take control, I think, of your present. So we go to the next.
Love it. Yeah.
We have a fantastic journaling feature. I think this is really important to stay connected. Do you want to talk about how journaling is a part of your recovery?
Yeah, I think, we talk about the 12 steps, and a big part of the step work is writing out a lot of detail to address generally like all your past troubles in very different ways, to really try to get to the root of this emotional disease, which is really what gambling is. It's mistakenly thinking, people think it's just a financial problem. It's really far worse than that. It is really all created because of, for most of us, an emotional ineptitude in being able to actually properly handle your life. And so journaling and writing out, whether it's long answers to tough questions, or even as simple as just a daily reminder of, hey, here's where I'm grateful, but here's also where I had an opportunity to be better. This is how I handled this situation today, and it caused this ripple in my life. And let me write about that. And I think when you put pen to paper, or fingers to keyboard, however, in the case of an app, I think that really helps reinforce the brain chemistry to kind of rewire and be like, oh, okay, if this happens again, I wrote about this, situation's coming up again, maybe I can handle it in a better way, and I'll have a better outcome. So yeah, I think writing is really, really effective.
Wonderful. A few more things to highlight. I think that it's really important, and I think that I'm going to really emphasize it when this podcast is released and we put out a new launch, where I want every single new member to go into the post community channel and to post an intro. So we have this really cool feature in the post story where you can tag what kind of post you want. So you can search for specific things if you're looking as a reader, and you can post in certain communities as a user. And so when you're leaving a comment in the intro thing, I might even mandate it that every user has to get in there and announce themselves to the community. And I'm a little bit torn because, like you said, it's going to make it harder for people to join, and I don't really want to block it, and we'll see how this goes. But since we're in the podcast room and we're behind the scenes, this feature is absolutely critical, I think, to recovery and people's success. Right. You need to get out there and you need to announce yourself, and you need to actively look to join the community.
Yep. Totally
And
agree.
so I think that this community is going to be popping soon. Again, we have only 26 users right now, but we worked really hard to at least make the format good there. And I'm going to really, really push good faith use of the community, like really active good faith use. So I think we've touched on maybe how community is helpful, so we can move on.
Absolutely.
Our analytics tab, this one uses all the inputs that you gave from your onboarding questionnaire, and it tracks a user profile about you, basically just giving the app as much context about you as it possibly can. It tracks your urges, when you're feeling urges, what's triggering your urges. It tracks, there's a mood logger and tracker, so you can track to see if your mood is improving over time as you become recovered or start to recover. Just some extra stuff to give you more context on your journey. And we really worked hard to make sure that everything on there is useful. But it's a fun place where you can scroll through and you can see how your journey's gone.
Love it.
Our library page. So we have lots and lots and lots of articles in this one. There's 6 sections. Most sections have 10 articles. Some of them are a little bit shorter, but this was worked on by myself, and I took basically 6 different categories of interesting topics that I think are gambling recovery related. And I put them in the library page if you want to continue to educate yourself as you do the work in recovery.
Yeah.
So some of those topics are basically like why gambling feels so good, how gambling is harmful, what the best tools are for recovery, success stories, different news articles about whatever intrigue. There's some intrigue in there too. So like how gambling books are cheating, and how advertising to children is becoming more stuff like that. Lastly, we have our achievements feature. People get achievements when they do good things that we want to encourage on the app, like commenting, making friends, introducing themselves to other people, reading articles, journaling.
And that reaching milestones and celebrating achievements, it's a big part of how the GA program works too. You know, as you get time, there's different milestones, and you get, you know, coins or, you know, keychains that are in different colors, because it's really hard to achieve these milestones of success. You never really beat an addiction. Moving through an addiction to a better place is hard. It's hard, and so you should celebrate the wins. And achieving these, you know, periods of time is a way to do that. So I think it's a great part of the app, and it should absolutely be celebrated, and hopefully that's how that community is going to see it as well.
Thank you for this very, very special episode. Thank you for having me on as your first non-recovering guest. I feel exceptionally honored.
No, we've had. I mean, the truth is,
Has Edgardo been on?
Edgardo has been on. And he's done interviews with me, like when we've had couples on and parents.
So I gave myself that title.
So, but the truth is, you are an affected loved one of a problem gambler.
Absolutely.
So, like, you meet the definition of Gamanon.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I was.
And I've been.
That's why you came to that meeting, and like, because you truly are, you know, for sure. But no, Caleb, thank you for coming on and doing this. I'm really, I'm excited for you as you have committed to this project and made it such a passionate thing for you in your life, and the ability to help millions of people is out there. You know, it's early, but the problem is not early, and the problem is not going away. And so more and more people are going to be searching for help. And so this is going to be a great additional tool out there in the world for people to find and utilize, and hopefully get help for it, to really truly change their lives. You know, and that's what recovery is all about. It's about changing our individual lives as well as helping as many other people as we can. So I'm grateful to be a part of it. I'm grateful that our first sponsor is Betttr, Bettr. Such a great name. Make your life better. And it's great to be partnering with you on it, and can't wait to see where it all goes. So, and
Part two
you know,
soon?
as we, for sure. I mean, as this evolves, there's no doubt. I think the plan would be you will come back on
Yeah.
and update the audience on where it's at and what's going on and all that stuff. And I'm sure in each episode, in some way, it'll be mentioned as I
Good.
bring other people on. That's what partnership is all about.
Yeah.
So I'm
Oh, and
grateful.
we'll give the 200 free memberships and
Mhm.
any future guests you have, obviously. We'll get
Oh,
them on.
excellent. But thank you again, Caleb, for coming in. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this special edition of the Gambling Recovery Lounge. And we will be back with you very soon on the next edition of the Gambling Recovery Lounge. Have a great night.